Years ago, when I first started in ministry, I studied comparative religion up in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and it allowed me to study the Amish and Mennonite religion. And I got to know a lot of the families up in that area quite well. And in October of 2006, many of you know what happened in that area. There was a school shooting in the area of Nickel Mines, Pennsylvania, and it hit that community very hard. But it also taught a valuable lesson to a lot of us, and I wanted to talk to you about that. And the reason why is it taught us about forgiveness. In Matthew 18, verses 21 to 22, Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times. And Jesus answered, I tell you, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. Now, does that mean stop at 740? No. You see, today, that area where that schoolhouse is an empty field because the Amish don't want a reminder of that event. And I remember riding by that field a couple years ago and remember seeing where once little children used to play, and that simple building that once housed 26 children used to be, where once little dandelions grew in that field. Now it's just a pasture. That day that Charlie Roberts came was a local delivery driver barricaded himself inside that schoolhouse and held boys and girls hostage, systematically shot 10 girls, 5 of whom died, and then turned the gun on himself. That was a tragedy. Second, what shocked the world though was when members of the Amish community, including the parents and grandparents of those murdered children, extended forgiveness to the shooter and his wife and his family. On the day that Roberts committed that horrendous crime, members of the Nickel Mines community prepared food and delivered it to the Roberts' devastated widow. And less than a week after that shooting, members of the children who had died attended Robert's funeral. Most of the non Amish community stayed away, but more than 30 Amish men and women joined the family in silent solidarity, dressed in black mourning garments they'd worn only days before for their own children. They stayed in a semicircle to shield the grieving family from the media. And that old order Amish voted to divert money from funds poured into their own children's funds to the killer's family so that they may have funds to live on. I want to read from an article from Terry Roberts' family. It says Terry Roberts was overwhelmed by the horror of discovering that her son had committed such a heinous crime, and remembered how the Amish extended grace and forgiveness, and remembers how the Amish extended forgiveness. Henry, a neighbor who had served the board of 3 local Amish schools, made the first overture. Henry showed up at the door on day 1, but not without hesitation. She said several times he turned around and went back up the lane, but he felt he was supposed to be there that day. "We love you," he said. "We don't want and hold anything against you." Tears filled Terry's eyes as he remembered. That just spoke to my husband's heart. It was the first time he had lifted up his head that day. The shooter's wife, Marie, experienced similar forgiveness. Seeking solace at her parents' home, she was perplexed when she noticed Amish men walking their way. Her father went out to meet them. "I saw them put their hand on his shoulder and wrap their arms around him. They told us they had forgiven Charlie and they were extending grace and compassion to over our family." You see, the Amish rapid counterculture response. You see, many felt forgiveness was too automatic and too quick. You see, the Amish will be the first to say that forgiveness is not easy. And it's not easy for a lot of people. Forgiveness, I have learned, is a decision we all have to make. It's not a feeling. Any of those families will tell you this is not an easy road to travel. Every day they have to think about those lives that were easily snuffed out. Those 5 girls in caskets lying beneath the Pennsylvania soil. 5 graduations that'll never happen, 5 weddings that'll never be. They remember and draw hope from Jesus' response to Peter. "Lord, how many times will I have to forgive my brother?" Up to 7 times. And he says, "I tell you, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. Then Jesus went on to live out that when he cried out from the cross, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I forgive you for the thorns that pierce my brow, the stripes that scourge my back, and the nails that pierce my hands. Forgive them, for they do not know what they do." Only the Spirit of Christ living in you can forgive others. The Amish people forgave Charlie Roberts, and only the Spirit of Christ living in you can extend similar to forgiveness to those who have sinned against you. Most of the offenses that we experience in life pale in comparison to the grievous sins that Charlie Roberts committed against the children and families of Nickel Mines, Pennsylvania. But that doesn't ever minimize our pain, does it? The sinful behavior of others affects us in devastating and far-reaching ways. But regardless of the depths of the sins committed against you and I, we can have hope and extend forgiveness through the example of our Lord Jesus Christ. Forgive others because Jesus has already forgiven you.